16 aircraft down and counting, Iran's retaliation is beginning to shake the image of unquestioned U.S. military dominance in the region. The IRGC is projecting an image of deadly precision as Iran warns that even major U.S. reinforcements, including thousands of Marines, will not go unchallenged. Is Mojtaba Khamenei's rise a sign of deeper IRGC influence in Tehran? As revenge wave has already left behind visible U.S. wreckage, Iran's next move could prove even more lethal as it continues targeting America's most advanced military assets, including stealth aircraft, refueling platforms, and high-value naval systems. Have a look at U.S. aircraft losses as Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps challenges USS Gerald Ford amid its sudden withdrawal from the war zone.
The sudden withdrawal of the USS Gerald Ford, the U.S. Navy's aircraft carrier, from the battlefield, and the failure to provide military support to the tired and defeated American forces in West Asia exposed the hollowness of arrogant material power. This military giant that you boast about is nothing more than a paper and hollow facade for the Iranian armed forces.
At least 16 American military aircraft have been lost since the start of the Iran war, according to a Bloomberg report published on March 19. Bloomberg highlighted mounting U.S. military losses after Iran claimed it had struck an F-35, even as broader reporting showed the aircraft attrition was already significant. Bloomberg reported that the U.S. military has so far lost 10 Reaper strike drones during the war, most of them to enemy fire. Bloomberg, citing persons familiar with the matter, said, and I quote, "So far only the uncrewed Reapers have been brought down by Iranian defenses, with at least 9 being destroyed in the air. One was hit at an airfield in Jordan by a ballistic missile. The other 2 Reapers were lost to accidents." Unquote. Another half a dozen aircraft were also badly damaged or destroyed in attacks and accidents, Bloomberg said in its March 19 report. On March 19, Iran claimed its air defenses had struck a 5th-generation F-35 jet, and related footage circulated online showing apparent damage. Earlier, several F-15 jets fell from the sky over Kuwait in what reporting described as an accidental or friendly fire incident during the opening phase of the war. Among the most severe losses was a U.S. KC-135 tanker destroyed during a refueling operation, killing all 6 crew members on board. 5 other KC-135 aircraft were also reportedly damaged while parked at an airfield in Saudi Arabia during an Iranian missile strike. Iran has also claimed attacks on several U.S. warships in the region, showing that the pressure on Washington's forces has gone beyond aircraft alone. On March 20th, the IRGC commented on the USS Gerald Ford's abrupt withdrawal from the war zone after the carrier was ordered out for repairs. The IRGC said the war in West Asia had exposed what it called the hollowness of the arrogant power's material strength, using the carrier's retreat to push a wider message. That statement came after the Gerald Ford was set to leave the Red Sea for repairs in Crete following a serious onboard fire. The United States announced the carrier's move after a blaze broke out in the ship's laundry facility, causing injuries and significant disruption on board.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Wave 66 of Operation Promise of the Faithful 4, with the blessed code Yazara, peace be upon her. Targeted objectives in the heart and south of the occupied territories, Tel Aviv, and American terrorist army bases in the region, was successfully executed with God's grace. In this wave, advanced solid and liquid fuel precision-guided systems and multiple warheads, including Khorramshahr breaker and Khaybar breaker, medium-range Qayyam and Zulfikar, and destruction drones were used. Following this wave, attacks on West Jerusalem, Haifa, and the Al-Zafra base of the American terrorist army in the region were successfully executed with God's grace. During the time of awaiting the arrival of Imam Mahdi, may God hasten his arrival, on the final morning of the blessed month of Ramadan, with the help of God Almighty and with the prayers of you, the faithful people, the 67th wave of the next Operation Promise of the Faithful 4, with the blessed code Yasahib al-Zaman, Lord of the Time, was dedicated to the late, esteemed Brigadier General Ali Muhammad Naini, the spokesperson of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and his martyred brother. We open the gates of fire and pain upon the hidden nests of American soldiers and their radar equipment in the region, and the military infrastructure of the occupied Palestinian territories, with a train of heavy missiles and a rain of drones. In this operational wave, the Ali Salem Base, the Aerospace Drone Command, aircraft maintenance and repair hangars, helicopter equipment and support facilities, and the Operations Center of the U.S.-led coalition forces, early warning radar systems and missile defense, and the U.S. gathering point at Al-Wafa Base, were precisely targeted with long-range and medium-range solid and liquid fuel systems, with God's grace. Furthermore, satellite, radar, and air defense centers of the Zionist regime in the center, south, and north of the occupied territories were effectively targeted. Today, in addition to the physical dismantling of the enemy, they have also become a symbol of internal collapse. The sudden withdrawal of the USS Gerald Ford, the U.S. Navy's aircraft carrier, from the battlefield, and the failure to provide military support to the tired and defeated American forces in West Asia exposed the hollowness of arrogant material power. This military giant that you boast about is nothing more than a paper and hollow facade for the Iranian armed forces. The change in the carrier's course towards a U.S. base and the attempt to avoid passing through the Bab al-Mandab Strait have raised the question in public opinion worldwide and in the region. Why should a $13 billion U.S., 11.2 billion euros, warship be afraid of a few $1,000 speedboats from the resistance forces? However, such a shaky and unstable situation has recently been created for another U.S. Navy ship, the USS Abraham Lincoln, in the Indian Ocean. The soldiers of Islam are eagerly awaiting delivering a hard slap to the American warship in the depths of the battlefield, and are fully prepared to show the American Marines the naval surprises firsthand. The fate of Saddam awaits Trump and Netanyahu, the criminals. Our entry into the field is not a defeat. God has closed the path of defeat for us. Do you see more than two paths before us? Both paths are glorious for us. One is the path of martyrdom, whose glory is eternal, fixed, and immutable. And the other is the path of victory, which is a victory for us both. There is no power except with God, the exalted, the wise.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump said the United States was carrying out the most complex and successful military operation of all time, even as the conflict with Iran continued to widen. Trump made those remarks despite visible U.S. military setbacks and at a time when the war had already entered its fourth week.
We're the greatest military in the world, the strongest, the greatest, and we're proving that when you can take Venezuela in a matter of minutes, put somebody on a helicopter that was well guarded with thousands of people with iron doors. Those doors were like plastic. The United States Navy, the Marines, the whole military, we have the greatest in the world. I was so proud of what I did. And I always loved Space Force because that was my baby. That has never happened. That hasn't happened in 81 years, a new force. And it hadn't happened. And I think we all agree that Space Force has become, you think, right, very important to the success that we're having even now. Over the past few weeks, the world has seen the true strength and might of our sailors and aviators as they fought in one of the most complex and successful military operations of all time against the Iranian regime. And it's amazing. It's not, I don't want to get too crazy here. Not a contest. It's not even a contest. They do whatever they want. They had a lot of great equipment. Russian equipment, Chinese equipment, they had plenty of money. That equipment was useless against us, useless. No force on earth can beat the American sailors or the American military. We're the strongest in the world by far.
Amid rising tensions in the Gulf, Iran's IRGC sharply criticized American military claims and deployments, portraying Washington's moves as proof that the conflict was deepening rather than stabilizing. This came as reports said the U.S. accelerated the deployment of more than 2,500 Marines to reinforce forces already engaged in the region. IRGC statement said, and I quote, "We eagerly await the U.S. Marines and are fully prepared to unveil our naval surprises for them." Unquote. The United States also moved to speed up the deployment of thousands of Marines and sailors to the Middle East as tensions with Iran kept rising. Around 8,000 service members were being sent to reinforce ongoing military operations once the USS Boxer Group linked up with the USS Tripoli Group, according to Anadolu Agency. The USS Boxer Amphibious Ready Group departed from the U.S. West Coast ahead of schedule, with troops reportedly cutting short leave to accelerate the deployment.